and take a look at some projects. Yeah, so this is gonna run same thing as last time. We'll just take 5 minutes-ish or so, walk us through your project, and we'll have questions and comments after. And I'm just gonna go down the list. So we will start off with Alex Armadeep and Ryan's Hollow House. Take it away.
All right. So we made a kind of like a little flash game where you just kind of walk around and go trick-or-treating and things happen.
Yep.
But I guess, should we just go ahead and pull it
Can you
up?
share your screen, Alex?
Yeah, here,
I can play the game if you want to keep talking, Alex. Let me pull it up.
well, I have my face, maybe, or the to get the form to
Oh,
work.
sure. Then you can run it. Just make sure
Okay.
you get the sound going.
Okay. Oops, one sec. Okay. Bear with me. Okay, here we are. Okay, so we can go over the instructions here. Left arrow buttons to move, up arrow to approach a house, and then press down to get back to the street. Whenever you're at the house porch, you press spacebar to knock and hopefully get some candy. And yeah, walk to the edge of the screen to see more houses. We've got some tunes here. You can pause and play that at any time.
Yep.
Oh no, this is already here. Well, you can pick an avatar. I was going to use this one to show y'all that the form works, but rest assured the form works. Does anybody got a particular character they want to be?
Alex, you're playing, so might as well go with you.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, we use these arrows to move around. You can see we're using energy. We'll press up to get here. Space bar to knock. All right, we got some candy. Let's get some. Then we can press the candy to get more energy. Very good. Let's get a little more. We'll go into this house here. Thank you very much.
And so on top of what's kind of cool that we did too was we made an object of candy, and we made it so that a random number of candy and random pictures of candy get added to our bag. So it's not just like a set amount of candy every time. You can get 0 to 4 pieces, and we have like 7 different types of candy that can be added. And then when you go to the side of the screen, we have more homes. And then Alex, do you wanna, let's try and get some no candy.
Yeah, hopefully this is the one. No, okay.
So I will say one thing that we tried to implement, but we really couldn't figure out was we wanted to make it so that every time you entered the vicinity of a house, that's when you were able to press up. But we couldn't really figure that out. It was a little bit of a stretch goal for us.
So right now it's a bit of an illusion. Just anytime you press up, you can go into a house.
And we also have the houses set up so that it chooses a random house object. And when we first enter the page, it displays the door closed. So Alex, you can go up. So it'll choose between one of 3 house porches. It will then, when you hit spacebar, it it will wait a second, and then it will display that house dot open. And if we just want to keep going up and down and then until we get 0. And once we get 0, we added a button that's like, they're not home. Should we TP them? And then you can hit yes, and it costs 25 energy, but then it TPs the house.
Kind of fun. And then I guess the last thing is dying. So when you
Also,
run
we
out-
can get too
oh.
much candy.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can't fill past this bar. Whenever you get up there, you get a message. Thank you. Okay. Oh, okay.
This finish is zoomed in a little bit, probably.
Yeah,
Oh.
you already got too much candy, kiddo. That happens whenever you run out of energy.
Yep, and then we can restart the game by clicking on the button, and it takes us back.
And there you go. That's pretty much it.
That is awesome.
It was
Yeah,
really
that's
fun
really
to
cool.
make.
I've got a question. Where did you get all the assets and the music and stuff like that?
I
So-
created all the images myself,
No way.
other than the street.
We yeah, we
And we
got
took
some
a lot of
clip arts.
PNGs. I just like edited them.
Yeah, we got some clip arts. The sounds, the knock sounds and the scream sound or the laughing sound, I just got off. It's kind of the same way we got the clip arts. I just looked up free.
Same with the spooky music.
The spooky music is a song that my friend made.
Awesome.
Nice.
But yeah, and the spooky music persists, so you can like play. Oh, well, we started over, but like no matter what screen you're on, it'll start new things a lot. So yeah,
Reminds me of like old Flash games from like Newgrounds or something like that.
totally.
And there were definitely a few like stretch goals we were thinking about, you know, something like stashing your candy or, you know, something along those lines, but we just kind of, I feel like we crunched a lot into this like little week period.
Yeah,
And,
the biggest thing is you need to not be able to just go on a porch at any moment.
yeah.
Nice. Armin, do you have anything to add?
I was just gonna, I don't know if you want us to go over the code
Yeah,
or
sure.
we can share a code. Yeah, so that's app.js that kind of just includes our state. Since we had the avatar object and then we had the houses, in the JSON file, we kind of had to create like a list of houses and then a list of avatars. So we had to call in 2 fetches.
Mhm.
And then we just had an avatar page. That's where all the avatars were listed. And then that was the job of the avatar card to get them rendered. And then the cards were styled using CSS to kind of get them into the cards. And then we use state to kind of, when you click on a certain avatar, that's the avatar that you get when you're playing the game. That was done using state. So we had the state for the avatar, and then we had a different state for the selected avatar, and we passed that in .image to the spooky street, the main game playing page. And then the energy bar, we just use like some if statements to do that. And game over page was pretty easy. We just used routing. So use navigate, and then once you click on a button, the clicking function is just to navigate to the home page.
We did this thing to make the page refresh, so the states would all refresh.
Hmm.
I'm not sure. It seems like this is kind of like a cheat code or something.
Yeah. We just wanted the game to reset, and because your health bar and that doesn't persist into a database, we were able to just refresh the page and get them to reset.
Yeah, you'd probably want to write a like just a reset game function that set everything back to default values. But
I
Okay.
think there's a couple of interesting things we ran into, and I think one cool thing that we did a lot was we tried to get an initial functionality down, and then we figured we can just hoist it, like we can put it into a higher thing and pass it down as a prop later. We just want initial functionality, and we ended up doing that with a lot of our objects, and we found a lot of like weird things too. Because one interesting thing is because the candy and the houses are created randomly, if you have those inside each individual component, every time the state changes, it'll just like rerun the randomizer.
Mhm.
And so we had to put them outside and then pass it down as a prop.
Yep.
Alex, you wanna say anything else about some of the code you wrote? Any interesting things?
Not really. The getting the ghost to move was way easier than I thought it would be. Like it's just like all I did was do like a arrow key and change the left CSS property.
Mhm.
So, and then we got like the little hover effect using some CSS animation.
Mhm.
Cool. Anyone have any other questions?
Oh,
Like
I
super
really like
rad.
it though.
Good stuff.
All right.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for showing that off.
Yeah,
Cool.
well,
Great. Still don't have a CJ. So Joseph, are you good to present?
Sure, YOLO, let's go.
Cool.
So what I decided to make was, I'm kind of interested in blockchain technology. So I wanted to make an arbitrage app. So if, here, I'll just show what it is. Okay. Screen share. Think it's the screen. Yep, it is. So what arbitrage apps is like, the prices of different tokens vary from different exchanges. And you can take advantage of this by buying from one exchange at a lower price and selling it at a higher exchange. So I fetch like data from a decentralized exchange. I get the price of the tokens, the total liquidity. Basically, those two are the only really things I need, but I also fetch a bunch of other things just to make it a little bit smoother. And from that, I can basically calculate exactly how much you can extract if I were to basically equalize the two tokens. I'm getting really high numbers. In reality, you wouldn't get these high numbers because I'm kind of using a little bit of a cheat where in cryptocurrencies, the tokens are in pairs. They're not like, you can't buy them with US dollars. You have to buy them with like other tokens, like if you want to buy ETH, you can buy them in like basically any other token, like a stable coin, like USDC, USDT, Bitcoin, and all of these have their own liquidity provided with each other. So if I wanted to do it like the real way, I'd have to look at these pairs of tokens and compare those to other chains. But I would require like 100 times more API calls. And so yeah, you can, so this is every like 30 seconds. So I make a new fetch API calls. You can go in and look at them, and here's more information. So you can see like the total liquidity, the price of this coin, and then some extra information. And you can see how much the price difference is. So it's like 5 cents. But if I buy 1.4 million of them and sell it to the other ones, I can extract $345. And the price is related to is related using an XYK curve with the liquidity. It's a little bit complicated, but yeah. So I simulate all of that, and then I also found it fun that I can like look at the top 10 history. So this is what I'm storing on my server of like the highest value trades, and I've rated them in the top 10 list. And I actually saw this like yesterday it just spiked up to $6,000, and I thought it was really cool. And I think someone did like a big trade on one of these exchanges where they either sold about a bunch and the price difference spiked up, and it was like this for like a block. I thought it was really cool to see. So maybe you could have taken advantage of that if you had a smart contract written already that would see these, but thousands of people already doing this, so I doubt it would be possible. And the reason why we're getting these big numbers, as I said, I don't know exactly how to calculate the USDC price, the United States or the dollar price of it, but I think they vary, and that's why we're getting like huge numbers. In reality, it's probably just a couple dollars you can get, but yeah, it's cool. And then if you want to see my code for it, so I have the details page here, all of the elements here. Yeah, I calculate everything with this, the 2 dexes, the information of the 2 dexes, and then I do some calculations to figure out exactly how much the price changes with every unit you buy, basically. So any questions?
And you're storing that in your local database there?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So this top 10 is going to persist even if I refresh the page. It takes a little while for it to load, and then yeah, and this will update also as we get a higher. You see, this one was today. This one I got. This one updated right before, basically, and this one too. In the same block, actually, interesting.
And did you have any forms built in here?
Forums? What do you mean?
The forms?
Oh, I have not. Where was that part of the goals?
I think so, but maybe. Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff in here already, so it's
Okay, well, I'm sorry about that in that case.
you're good. Awesome. Questions? Cool, looking good. Let's see who's up next. Next up we have Grace and Cade with the Financial Goals app. I got that right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay, let me get this open. And figure out how to share my screen. I always struggle with this at first. There we go. Okay. So we did a financial goals app. And I think Cade was gonna get this started, kind of introduce some of the things.
Yeah, so we have 3 tabs going up top, 3 pages, and the home is just an introduction. It's a home page. If you go to the account summary, you can see a little summary of Grace is going to talk more about that, but you can see a little summary of everything. And then if you go to active goals, these would just be goals that, one would be hoping, like we can put in name of buy house and a total of whatever it may be. And if you would add it in, it would then be pushed to the account summary. And it would also bring up cards up top above here. Buy a car, buy a laptop, buy, whatever you're hoping for. And then, yep. And then you can also see this on account summary. There will be a transactions page or a transactions list that'll come up, and it gets pushed to that as well. It just keeps track of what you're hoping for. And then the account summary would be more of, your current day-to-day activities of what the money that you're spending, so you can keep track on both your goals and where your money is going. And Grace, did you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, so this is kind of really an app to kind of help with saving goals for various different things. So the account summary, this number isn't tied to anything. You can manually put that in. And here you can add money. And and also like have decimal places, which I'll get to the numbers more in a second. That was really fun in JavaScript. That was all sarcasm. And then also you can remove money just here, because really, if you're looking at your account wherever it is, whatever bank it is, even though it's not connected to it, you can update your balance here before you're, looking at what you have to put towards other goals. So if you, want to take out 6,000, it'll also show up here and it'll decrease the amount. So there's that. And then also going over to the account goal, there's this form where you can add money to it also with decimals. And it will increase the current amount, and then also, post that over here. So you have a running tally of what's going on with this account. The part that was fun about this, working with, that's an expensive laptop,
Decimals.
with numbers in JavaScript was quite interesting. Even just getting them to have the right commas in the right places, getting the decimals to work right, because I was having issues with floats and with integers. And so what I ended up doing, I'll also pull up the code over here. Which page I want to go to first? Bear with me a second here. I'm also going to move this over to the screen. So we have our app here where a lot of things are tying in. What ended up really helping, it's not really being used here so much, but we found this package called Big Decimal that was extremely helpful, because it took in numbers as strings, but then allowed you to be able to like do multiplication, division, and things like that still with them. And so I built this file over here, which is just where I kind of put some of those calculations where I use later in the form, just over here where I'm actually using some of the functionality that Big Decimal came with, to make that work much easier. And also get more reliable answers, because I was getting weird decimal places with trying to work with floats. So that definitely took a little bit. And then one of the other things that I was able to do was under the pages on here, I believe I at least show it here. Yeah, one of the other things was this like Get Pretty, which actually adds the commas in the right places so that you'll see it show up like this. One of the other things that was really interesting and kind of threw for a loop was calculating this progress. The progress bar is actually pretty easy, but it did rely on this calculation, which was in state. And that part about state where if you have like one plus like state plus one, like what is being displayed and like state are going to be different. Like if you console log before and after, how there will be a discrepancy, because the state doesn't actually like update until it all renders. So what we ended up doing was looking for where I actually ended up putting this. I believe it was on the goal form. Ended up using, where was it? Anyways, use effect is what I ended up using. It might be on goal. Yeah, use effect. And so we were able to do this so that that part wasn't run, calculated, or posted or patched until the state was updated. So then we were able to get that to be the right calculation. Had several different post and patch for different things, because for each submission here, it was patching these numbers and then also creating a new transaction over here. So there were several different fetch requests going into that as well. I think those are some of the big things that were a little bit trickier with this. Choosing a project that has to do a lot with numbers and JavaScript was interesting, but finding that big decimal package was really, really helpful.
Awesome. That looks really cool. Yeah, numbers are entertaining in JavaScript sometimes. It doesn't really, a lot of programming languages distinguish between like ints and floats and
Mhm.
all that. JavaScript does not. It just has a number type, which has limits 32 bits. So yeah, if you want to do larger numbers, you get big packages like this. Cool. That looks awesome.
Oh, and then also the date
Yeah,
will
go for it.
automatically default to whatever the current date is
Nice.
do the transaction.
Nice. Yeah, dates also super fun.
Mhm.
Cool. Questions?
Yeah, I just have a quick question about the decimal point. Did you mess around with like math.round into fixed?
Yes. So one of the issues I was having with that before I started using big decimal was that to fix results in a string.
Hmm.
And when you're using the integer and float for the math calculations, like you need them to be numbers still to be able to do the math calculations, and to fix turns it to a string. And so there was an issue with when things are being added, when you're like I was thinking about maybe just trying to do to fix on the things that were being displayed.
Yeah.
But it was just it was just a lot more planning to try and figure out where to actually apply that so that I could still do the calculations and get it to show up like I wanted. But once I was able to find this big decimal, it takes in everything as a string. So I just changed all of the text input for all of the different forms from a number to text. And so everything that was going into the database and I was dealing with was text. And then I was calling those functions from Big Decimal that handle text, but are able to treat them like numbers and still do calculations. And that was just easier to be able to work with.
Yeah, usually if you're doing something like that, you want to keep your numbers in your state so you can do math on them, and then you use your to fix in your where you're displaying it. So in your curly brackets usually.
Yeah.
So you're not actually changing anything in your state to a string. You're always keeping that as a number, unless you're using a module that does something like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Other questions? All right, good stuff. Up next we have Jesprit and Mason with a travel guide.
Mason will share the screen.
How's it going? Jaspreet, could you talk for a second about what you did while I get this going?
Yes, sure. So me and Mason, we have made our React project on Travel Guide. So it's basically an application that will help users to find the next destination to visit. And for the scope of this project, we have taken popular destinations in and around Seattle. So basically it's about a travel guide for the people living in Seattle if they want to go around, like find different places. Is there any problem, Jason?
I like tried to add a new event to test this out real quick.
Okay.
But yeah, just give me a second.
Yes. Okay. So this is our home page where we can see all the destinations listed. So here, if you go on the header part, we have home button, we have interests button, and we have an add new destination button. So in interest, if you go, it's a drop down button. So if you go there and you select any option, so it's based on your interest. So basically, if you want to go for hiking, if you want to go for parks, it will filter out the results. So all the destinations related to those interests, it will pop up on the main screen. And then if you go on the search part as well, you can search based on the name of the place. So if you type anything like park, it will show up on the main page. Now, if you click on any card basically on the home page, if you click on any car, it will take you to a detailed view where all where mainly the major information about that place is written. So basically things to do, the price range, and there's a like button where you can increase the likes to, and it will persist in the database. And there's a map, which Mason can explain better. And then we have an edit button as well on the main screen. If you go homepage, on each card, we have an edit button. You can edit the information, and there's a add new destination as well. So you can add new destination. There's a form for that too. So Mason, you can carry on, like you can explain the map part.
Yeah, so the biggest challenge for me doing this was trying to figure out how to use Google Maps API to get the map to work. There's a few different packages that Google or some other people have put out that will allow you to use the API, but I found 3 different ones that I tried to use, and there's one that is just JavaScript and not React based, and then there were 2 that were React based, but you have to use TypeScript, and I don't know anything about TypeScript, and I wasn't really like trying to get into that for this project. But I talked to a buddy who has already been through this Flatiron stuff, and he helped me figure out how to use the most recent package that they put out 4 months ago to use the map. And so I figured it out Wednesday night, and then on Thursday, Google put out a video of how to use Google Maps with React, like a demo. So if I waited like 1 day, it would have been so much easier. But yeah, so essentially what I did for that, everything in the database that I populated has this location value that has an object with a latitude and a longitude parameter. And the code for the map is expecting an object with these 2 keys and values. And like if you go on Google Maps, I guess I should look at Volunteer Park. But anyways, you can like click on any of these, and if you right click them, it'll show you the coordinates, which is kind of nice. So I just copied that and put it into the database. And yeah, I can like post a link to the documentation that I used for the map. I was also going to write a blog post about it, and then the video came out, so now I don't know if I need to do that anymore, but maybe I'll still do it. So yeah, and I wrote out the database before I figured out how to use the map. So one problem that we still have is when you add a new destination, you're gonna send all of the info in the form as strings. And so this section with the object, like if you send in a new, I guess I could just show you right now what it looks like to do that. My house, you can try to put in like latitude is this, pretty cool house. It's an expensive house. You guys can look at my house. Cool, so that's what it looks like to submit an event. But when you check out what it puts out into the database, this is a string. And to use the filter drop-down bar, we used an array, and so this puts the array as a string. So we have some stuff to figure out to like fully use the form. For now, it shows up, kind of breaks it for now, to be honest. But yeah, so I have some stuff to figure out for the form still, but that's what we did.
Cool. Yeah, the maps are super cool. really everyone tries it, and it looks great, but it's a huge pain in the butt.
Yeah, I'm excited to dig into this tutorial video more, and hopefully they like actually explain very clearly without having to understand TypeScript, because
Yeah.
that
Yeah, if you're inputting like a latitude and longitude, you might want to just make those like two different number input fields.
right.
And yeah, but yeah, it's just a matter of debugging the types and all that. So you got it. Other questions? All right, looks really good.
Thanks.
And last up, we have Kevin and Bo with the API Finder. Yeah, super cool.
Yeah. Let me share my screen. Kevin and I made a React app tailored towards Flatiron students and or developers, I guess. So we found an API that is a database full of APIs, believe it or not. And I think there's like 1,400 of them. So yeah, there's tons of different kind of weird, funny, goofy stuff in here. But we have a homepage filled with 6 cards just for the homepage. And if you see an API that you like, you can click on that and that will go to my APIs, like a list of favorite APIs for you. So we can go over there and see that that ocelot that I just clicked on is now in the database. Also, this was awesome. This was my favorite one, the Kanye.rest daily Kanye quotes. So also they have a link to the documentation, so you can click on that and it'll bring you to the documentation for that website. Also, you can search. You can go through and search all 1,400, and here you can search APIs based on description. So I know a lot of these have like random in there. So, you know, random dog facts. Is that one for random excuses for different situations? I like that one. So then you can also filter by category. There's tons of different categories. And if you find yourself looking for something in programming, there's APIs for that. And then as you see, those will be populated in a db.json, which we pull from. So that's about it for the demo. So I guess I can show you a little bit of code. Here's our like main app section. We on load, we use 2 different use effects. One of this is for all APIs that are held in state. And the next one is just for ones that are going to the search category. So we have one that holds what you'll see in search, and then one for what you see in home. When you click, we change our states to add an API to my favorites, as well as remove. And then we have some functions for handling posts and handling delete in the db.json. And yeah, that's about it. There was a bunch of stuff that I really wanted to add that I just didn't really have time for. A lot of my time was spent prepping for the code challenge. So there was one weird problem that we were having, and I don't think we ever really figured it out, is that we wanted our front page to display 6 or 10 random APIs. The problem with that, though, is that we basically updated state with a list that we sort through. So we grab all APIs, we sort and make a random list, and then we use a filter to just select like 5 or 6 of them. And the problem with that was that worked, but every time we'd click something, the whole list would shuffle, and that wasn't really what we want. If you notice here, this cats is in the 2nd position, and if we click again, that's now in the first position. So how we had it before, it was just like shuffling and getting randomized every time, which wasn't what we want. So we didn't necessarily figure that out. I'd like to figure that out, but yeah, that's about what we got.
Nice. That's super useful, super cool. Questions? Yeah, definitely host that and get it out to folks to use for projects.
Yeah, I
That's-
mean, for 1400, it's been a while just looking through random different ones, and there's some ridiculous things out there, especially if you find yourself maybe in the anime category. So
yeah, I bet. Cool. Any last questions? Sweet. Give yourselves a big round of applause. This is real good stuff all around. Love to see it. Yeah, React stuff is super fun, and you'll continue using it for all the rest of your projects. So if you had some stuff that you're working on figuring out with React now, you have plenty of time to keep figuring that stuff out. Yeah, cool. So phase 3 is released. So if you would like to get a preview of all the Ruby stuff, encourage you to take a poke through that. New language. So a lot of it is similar to JavaScript, and there are a lot of things that are particular to Ruby. So definitely worth getting a little jump on. I don't want to assign homework, but I do want to encourage you to be curious and poke around. So yeah, take a look at that. And in 1, 2, 3 hours, we'll do stand up half an hour earlier. So we'll do it at 4 Mountain, 5 my time. And we'll do feelings and kick it off. Sound good? All right, cool. Super proud of all of this stuff. Looks really great. I'll see y'all in a few hours.